Welcome back. This is Your Town. I'm Marianne Leffel. I'm your host for today, and my last guest is my favorite. We've done so much together over the years, and she runs a fabulous property in downtown Monterey that if you talk to any tourist, it's where they want to be. So, Janine Chicourrat, welcome.
Nice to see you, Marianne. It's been a while.
So, the Portola.
Yes.
And you're finally, the entryway is done.
Everything is done, thank God.
It looks wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
It does.
Thank you. Yeah.
A lot of pain and suffering, but it really looks good.
Wow.
It looks so inviting when you pull up.
It really does. It really is just kind of revitalized downtown Monterey and had just a wonderful change to downtown. I mean, you can feel the buzz, you can feel the differences, you can see new businesses coming in that haven't been there before, and it's exciting. It's really fun to see.
It's about back the way it was, I think, about 25 years ago. Hopefully it can continue, and people will continue to invest based on what you and the city put into it. Everybody needs to up their game.
You know, I would hope so. I think it's important that we all are proud of downtown Monterey, that we maintain the properties and make sure they're painted and the streets are cleaned. And it's not the city's responsibility, it's all of our responsibility as a community. And so I hope moving forward we'll see people take pride of ownership and pride in new businesses and some creativity as a result as well.
So I want to talk about the interior of your property. The blue draped, what are they, big drapes? Is
big
that what
drapes
they are?
at the entrance?
Just that, it makes you think you're coming to a spot, makes you think you're coming to a vacation as opposed to just a steel door with some glass. And I love it. That was such a nice addition just to soften it. And then when you enter, the way the lobby's been redone and the use of it after all these years is really good.
It's dramatic. I mean, I sit there and I laugh and thinking to myself, where did everybody sit before? We didn't have any furniture in this lobby, and now it is constantly full with people. It's really amazing. But,
Yeah.
You know, we have a great design firm out of San Francisco, the Presidio group that we work with, and we've recently redone the patio out the back door and added fire pits, and so we're carrying the outside in and then going back outside and tying it back into the hotel. And we've got some curtains on order that's going to soften the new trellis area too, so it'll tie
And
it
it was
all
really
together.
underutilized. It was there, but you had to go out a side door from the restaurant, and people didn't even know it was there.
It really, it's amazing. It was a dead space, and one of the owners of the hotel, it drove him crazy. And he's like, we've got to fix that dark hole. I can't stand that back entrance. And it really was his inspiration to finish that piece off
Good
of the
for him.
hotel. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was thrilled that he said something. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
it's good. And I really like the way the restaurant is in the lobby, and you can flow into the bar area. It's just very welcoming, and the food is really good.
You know, we're blessed. Danny and Chef Santos and Carl, who's been there forever, they put their heart in it, and they do a great job, and it shows.
It does show. It does show. It's my favorite place for lunch, and if I have guests from out of town, I like to take them there for the dinner hour because it's easily accessible. There's good parking, and it's nice to show off downtown Monterey.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things we do, we valet park for free, and people don't realize that. You just have to get your ticket validated at the two restaurants. So, yeah, it's easy for locals to get in and out and take advantage of it.
So you had, for a long time, you had construction going on all the way around, which to both you and me, those are good sounds because some of our livelihood at our households have come out of that.
True.
And noise is a good noise.
Right, exactly.
But when you're a guest in a hotel, it's sometimes probably a little off-putting. But, you know, I never heard anybody throwing a big fit about it. Like, you just like, okay, it's under construction and it'll be better when it's done. And so.
Yeah, I think where we really took a hit was on TripAdvisor. People, you know, wanted to share their frustrations on social media, and that was tough. I mean, our team did a great job trying to respond as best we can, and at the end of the day, people, you look at the guest comments now, and they're just night and day. I mean, it's fun to open up all the different comment cards and see what's going on today versus what was going on 2 years ago.
Yeah, construction's always a dicey thing. You know that after the pain, it's going to be so much better. But boy, getting through it is always, and some people are not very kind about it. Hal and I stayed in San Francisco about 2 months ago, and the director of guest services called me after I made my reservation and said, "We'd like to tell you that we're under construction." This is before the picket lines. "We'd like to tell you we're under construction, and that if you would like to choose another day, we'd be able to give you a discount." I said, "You know what? It'll be music to my husband's ears. We're happy."
Oh, that's great.
So when I got there, he gave us a really big suite. But I was like, I'm okay with it. It's part of progress, so
Exactly.
it's good.
And it's not like construction happens 24 hours a day. I mean, it's during the day, so most people were pretty respectful of the process, so that was good.
So the conference center is finished, and yours is done. So are you seeing lots of bookings?
We are. Business is up significantly, and it's exciting because it's also a higher end corporate group that's coming that we're attracting to Monterey, which is fantastic. I mean, it's a piece of business that is the most cherished in terms of any type of business you can book into your hotel. So to have those people responding positively and the buzz is out there in the industry, it's exciting. It's good.
Well, you know, I look at it, and if you just think about location, you are the most perfectly located for people to be able to get to restaurants and to do things, but also get to the wharf and the properties there, but to just be on the rec trail and be able to experience old Monterey. I think it's wonderful.
I do too. In fact, we hear more often than not the favorite thing about the hotel is you can stay there, park your car, and never have to touch it the rest of the time you're here in town. You can just walk everywhere, and that to me is wonderful. I mean, that lessens the impact on the peninsula, but it also just creates a unique experience that people are looking for today.
So I think you had a voice in the new lights on Alvarado.
Well, we had a whole group of people, but yes, we pay into the people that own property along Alvarado Street pay into a business improvement district, and we had been watching our funds grow, and we all came together and said, okay, what can we do to have the biggest impact on Alvarado Street? So, you know, lighting and I want to thank Louis from the city. Louis Marcuso really worked with us and made it all happen. But lighting, putting back the planters on the light poles, painting the light poles, the city painted the light poles. We still have some bike racks that are going to be added, and we're regrouping actually this week to see how much money is left over and what are some other touches we can do.
Which just looks, when you come around the corner off of, is that Tyler, and then you just look down Alvarado, so inviting. Or if you come out the front door of your property and look back down the other way, it draws you down. And before it did not. It just looked tired and kind of dark and not very good.
It didn't look like somewhere you wanted to go.
No.
One of the things right in the Alvarado Mall is we just finished at Pete's Coffee, so we're going to add some planters and some tables and chairs on the Alvarado Mall. So it'll continue to bring life to that area. And Roadhouse is going in for a wine bar on the very corner there. They just got their building permit, so they're starting construction. And then I'm negotiating that last retail space right now. We have a tenant that's interested in that space. So that's going to just change that little Alvarado Mall and bring some more activity down there, which is great because it ties it downtown with the wharf, and that's what we want. So the other thing we're doing is out the back of the hotel where we have the new patio, we're going to change out the signage there, and I'm actually adding a sign that says Fisherman's Wharf with an arrow. Because people really, if you've never been here, you don't know. You walk out the back door of the hotel, you see this big plaza, you don't realize the wharf's right there.
That's true.
So,
it's true.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of several years ago, Hal and I went to San Antonio, Texas to pick up a car. And we stayed at the hotel, and the one thing I wanted to see when I was there was the Alamo. And so we got in late, and then we came out the next morning, and we had breakfast, and then we came out, like, they said it was around here somewhere. So we went back in and said, we're really interested in the Alamo. Can you tell us? And she looked at me like I'd lost my mind and said, it's right there across the street. Never in my dreams did I think the Alamo was so little. You know, you always think of this big fort where they, but they were little people, and there were not many of them in there, and it was a tiny little fort, but it was across the street from my hotel, and my perception was not there.
Oh,
So
it's like the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
The first time I go to the Louvre, I'm looking for the Mona Lisa, and there's this huge crowd and this little tiny painting. I'm like, you're kidding me.
you think it's going to be this big thing.
Exactly.
So anyway, so I think that's really good, and I think all the signage that anybody can do to, if you step back and look at it through a tourist size,
Exactly.
instead of ours where we know where everything is, you can really make any experience better.
Well, I think we all take it for granted, and I'll give you a great example. Lower Presidio Park. I run the hotel that's less than a mile from it. I had never been there till recently. It is the most beautiful view, or one of the most beautiful views in all of Monterey.
And it's got such a fascinating history.
It does, and I would love somebody to come restore those stables. I think that would be, I have this vision of somebody coming in and restoring the stables and having carriage rides through Monterey. I just think that would be the neatest thing ever, and it fits. But you get up and look at that old museum, and you stand up on that hill, and you look across the bay at those views. It's spectacular.
Yeah, we Hal and I are very intrigued by that. We really like it up there, and I really look at the nonprofit group that's been working on it and give them high marks for taking it on, because everybody just drove past it all the time.
True.
I had a house guest who was a retired Army colonel, and he came to visit us, and I went to work for the day. Hal went to work for the day, and he took himself on a big tour. And at dinner that night, he was showing us the brochures he got, and he had the brochure from there. And I said, "Where did you get that?" He said, "I was at the museum." I said, "What museum?" This was about 18 years ago. I was so embarrassed. He's in my town, and I had already lived here for 18 years, and I had no clue it was there, none. So the next week after he left, I went and took a tour.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I think people are kind of put off. They don't realize they can go up there and turn and come back on it. They think it's just a closed access. So again, it's signage.
Right, exactly. No, they think it's part of the Presidio, and you're not allowed up there, which is not at all true. So it's pretty special.
So do you query your guests on where they go when they're here? Like, do you do any type of informal asking of, what'd you see, what'd you do?
We don't. I know the CVB does a lot of that, but we actually don't.
Kind
but
of
anecdotally where people are going.
Yeah.
But nothing formalized. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see what they find, and with a little bit of prodding, what they could find.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what we try to do. Our website's pretty informative, and we try to we put out a newsletter monthly, must see, must do. Try to give tips on different.
I
things
read
to
it.
explore.
I love it. It's always good. Yeah. So, your spa is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another thing that locals don't particularly think about, but it's a wonderful spa.
It really is. And actually, the couple, we don't operate it. It's operated by a couple that founded the Post Ranch Inn Spa back in the day, and they really do a great job. I mean, people just love the space. It's clean. It's relaxing. It's they get a lot of high marks. So we're fortunate to have them there.
So it's good.
Yeah.
So you really, the whole deal. They don't have to leave their car and go any place, but they also wouldn't even have to leave your property if they didn't want to.
Nope, we just had Pete's Coffee. Pete's Coffee just opened up, so we now have a Pete's, which is kind of fun. We're having a lot of fun with that, actually.
Yeah.
So,
what are their hours?
Pete's opens at 5:30 in the morning till, I want to say 9:30 or 10 at night, depending on the day of the week. So it's long, and yeah, there's good space to sit and relax, and people are finding us, and they're doing little meetings of 20 people getting together, and at nighttime, which is kind of fun to see it filled up. So we're enjoying it, but we're just now getting the word out on it.
The farmers market, increasingly, I hear people still have the aha moment if they stay here on a Tuesday night and wander down onto Alvarado Street. Do you hear that with your guests?
We do. We try to promote it, but I think it's just one of those things that people, when they're out and exploring, or I do it. I go to a major city, and the first thing I do is start walking, and you stumble upon things you don't necessarily read about, and No, it's special, and our guests love it. So it's nice that we have it right at our back door, or front door, I should say. Yeah. So.
I'm in a statewide workforce group, and they always have their annual meeting in Monterey in September, and those people will kill to get here because mostly the farmers market, and the conference people plan it, and they know they cannot plan anything after 4:30
on Tuesday.
Any other night you can have cocktail parties, do whatever, but not on Tuesday. No one will be there. So the cocktail party is always on Monday, so that the people can do the farmers market on Tuesday.
That's great.
And we talk to them, and the people who have particularly driven from other areas, they'll come back with a huge bag of produce that they're taking back to wherever their workforce board is in the state in their cars. So it's kind of fun. One lady told me she brings 2 coolers in the back of her SUV and then stocks up on our produce for her neighbors and her when she gets back.
Right. We are blessed in this community for what we're able to do and grow. And I look at myself as a child growing up in Watsonville. We used to ride our bicycles through the apple orchards and stop if you're hungry and pick an apple off the tree, rub off the dirt, and eat the apple and go on your merry way. And or the strawberries, same thing with strawberries. And I'm still alive.
Yeah, we lived adjacent to orange groves in San Juan Capistrano. Same thing, the kids would just disappear into those groves and then come back, and you'd see all the orange around their mouths.
They probably had orange wars too, where they're throwing them at each other.
Rotten ones, yes.
Kids will be kids.
Yes. Sometimes that's kind of messy on clothes, I have to say, depending on how squishy and how far along they were in there.
One way to get in trouble with your parents.
That and Otter Creek, washing the little worms and things that were in pockets that people picked up during the day. So it's the joy of childhood when you have a more free existence.
Yeah, I was very blessed growing up.
So
yeah, for sure.
So Janine, what is it that you got going for the wintertime? Is there anything there to draw the locals in?
For the wintertime, we've got some upcoming events for St. Patrick's Day and some of the Fat Tuesday. We're having a little Fat Tuesday celebration. So we've got a few things in the works.
Okay. So come down, have a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Have some lunch or dinner
or a cocktail and just enjoy before the movies. I mean, we've got the great theater. It's so nice to have Golden State with all those wonderful performances and another reason to come downtown. And we've always been blessed with the OCO to have it, but to have the Golden State as well, doing as well as it is. And they've got a new attraction that they're opening up, the Selfie. I don't know if you've seen that.
Selfie Bill.
I haven't seen it yet, but God bless those guys for coming up with something unique and different. So I'm sure we'll be selfieing our way through it at some point.
Well, I saw Lisa Haas did the painting for it, so I took it and put it on my social media page. And people that I'm associated with up in the East Bay picked it up, and the next thing I saw, there were like 20 of them all sharing that they had to bring their kids down to Selfie Bill. So you just don't understand what draws people and what motivates them. But hey, if you fill up some hotel rooms and sell a few meals, everybody wins.
That's true. What's funny, I've never been a social media person. I have a fake Facebook page so I can look at the hotels, but I finally broke down and went on Instagram, and I actually enjoy it. It's great. You can go through quickly. I've got a real good friend of mine. She and her husband grew up in the Bay Area, and they cashed everything out, and they have 4 daughters, all named Mary, and they bought a ranch up in Fort Jones, and they have a ranch called Five Mary's Farms.
I know it.
And it is fabulous, and they post all the time. She is the model in terms of Instagram and social media. So I'm always looking at what they're doing, but I'm really, really proud of her.
She's got great food, great meat.
Oh, I know. I order it and have it delivered.
Yeah, it's really good. So Janine, thank you so much for joining me. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
And I think 2019 will be one hell of a year. I think it's going to be really, really good.
I think so too. I'm optimistic, and I'm just excited to see downtown Monterey look so beautiful.
And thank you for all your leadership getting those big projects done.
Well, I wouldn't say it was just me. It was definitely a community.
it was a group, but you were definitely a part of that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So this is Your Town, and I'm Marianne Leffel. We'll see you next month. Learn more about your community. We'll see you at the Monterey Bay Defense Alliance breakfast on February the 22nd, and 7:30 in the morning at the Monterey Conference Center at Admiral Mike McMillan. Thank you.